I understand that the mind runs in grooves and easily settles into a repetitious routine. And I see your changes of some things as an attempt to forestall mechanicalness. For instance, the ALLLISSS is now ALLLISSS with three S's. Then we have new man to new is man and some other changes. I also reckon that Paul Tuchel wasn't static. So these changes you are making, is this a demonstration of the new isness?
Yes, and what was that reference to Paul that you said? I didn't quite get that.
Yeah. Paul Tuchel, excuse me, also wasn't static.
Okay, give me a little definition of that. Go ahead.
Static, that is, he didn't let things stay on the same spot. He kept making renovations in terms of terminology and or actions and all the like. So, and you're doing the same. So I'm asking, is it a demonstration of the new isness?
Yes, that's a very simple way to say it. Yes, because the isness is endless. And creation being cause and effect, yes, look at society. As we come up through this life, and we're taught certain things. For the most part, especially in the society today, very much so, we're taught to be one-dimensional. This is very real, even though people think, oh no, we're three-dimensional. Well, yes, you're in a three-dimensional hologram or simulator, but you're unconsciously and consciously conditioned to be one-dimensional. In other words, stick it out here, and this is the only life there is. From birth to death. That's it. That's one-dimensional. That's it. Okay? And maybe there's a heaven or not. That's always in question. Doesn't even matter. That's one-dimensional also, etc. It's just the same. It just appears differently. And so with this idea that you're asking, yes, what's so cool about the isness is that, in 2001, when I took the real position, I was shown it was the ISS, okay? And as it moved along, and in '07, it just came, I saw it, it was the ALLISSS, ALLLISS, it was the ALLISSS. And I thought this is very interesting, but I knew it was that. And so I started to express that in the books. And because this is what you might say life is deciding. All right, this is what's, you might say, coming through. And I just take the risk to do it. I'm not saying I'm right. It's not about being right. Or it's like, well, this is it. This is what I see. And I just take the risk. And what makes anything real is that when the boys back it and life backs it, that's how it becomes real. Not because I say so or anybody invents anything, whatever is created here. People can create anything, but unless it's backed by life itself and the reality and the voice of the real guides, the real universal guides, it's just a hollow building. That's all it is. It's a look-good thing. And so, yes, we do get a lot of information about what's taking place here. And so as time went along, and I've went over this before, it's very interesting that the dark brats, we'll call them many things, the certain few or whatever, the elites, the Illuminati, they're also watching on the real side. They have particular views too. They're watching many areas as to what is taking place with myself and others, everybody else. And they're seeing the progression as this goes along, as this is being presented in the physical sense, where they like to control things, you see. It's a little bit harder for them on the real side. Because they've got to do a lot of hocus pocus to get people's attention. They need their agreement. But here, it's a lot easier because of how limited the physical body is. So this is where they mainly focus their attention. And so as this come about, and it's interesting how ISIS was formed. And this is really an old path that really in its own way at the time dealt with the isness. It's kind of like saying the is. Okay, it is what it is. It's kind of, so they called it ISIS, but over time, over eons, it became distorted like everything else. Some things take longer, some more quickly, whatever. But it usually goes pretty quickly, and then you have this particular history. Well, all of a sudden here we have, the cool dude Obama creates ISIS in Texas, doesn't he? People think it's somebody over there. No, these are U.S. military. And again, because the United States was created as takeover by the bankers, this was all premeditated. And the stories that we get here in school, they're just la la land. It's not that at all. This is a takeover country, and they go out there and they destroy everything in the world. That's what they're doing. They're reptilians. And so, it's interesting. All of a sudden, they use the is. And there's no coincidence because they see what I'm doing. So I went more so to the all is. And so the next step came in. To where, they're using the is Islamic State is the is, and other things. And so they're seeing this, and they're trying to, in their own way, like a bizarro world, trying to kind of duplicate. But see, they don't understand what I'm presenting because they don't have the recognition. So no way do they understand it. And so at a certain point, I looked at it and I decided, and again took the risk to add the 3 S's, the 3 L's, because I figured realistically that they ain't going to touch that. So even though there was a movie called Triple X, but that's far and few between. So, and I knew at the same time that people are going to look at this and go, okay, what's Duane doing now? But all of a sudden, it has become its own reality along with other words. And what's so cool is that it becomes actually more specified with the isness. It really separates itself. And again, this, as I created the new presentation, I did it in a way to where it was not a category. It was not just, Paul created the spiritual idea, so you have, that's basically under religion or, metaphysics or meditation, spiritual things, whatever. There's no category with us because it is simply a new presentation. So this is where many times I don't use the idea of the new presentation. I use the worldwide educators. That becomes more familiar to people. It's more user-friendly than the new presentation. It's like, well, what is that? So instead of explaining all these things, and for the most part, it's like read the book. But yes, constantly, Charles, and as you see, Ava and I are creating images and whatever. These things, just like Paul had created at the time, like the God Worlds charts, the various sounds, the various places, and at the time it was called the various lords of the different levels, even into the invisible side, which are no more. And at the one time, the boys were called the Act Masters. They were willing to play that role, which they did. They played that role, and just like an actor, they played the role. But they don't play the role anymore. They have nothing to do with that. You see, they're on to the real adventure. And so when I was asked to step up and do this, if I would step up and do this, I said, yes, I will do it. I thought, cool, I'll do this. But it took me a long time to figure it out. And so as I go along, I simply do the best I can to see overall in the real universes with the is, etc., and what's taking place on the earth. And just like anybody that would manage a company, I'm simply a representative. I simply manage what's going on. There's no master stuff or all this funny stuff anymore. No, that really comes from master and slave is what it does. And so, because we are all free beings of real light, it's just we decide how much of life we want to recognize, more so than just creation itself. While we are still in creation, this is where nothing is negated, simply awareness. And so, yes, this is what we're doing, more so creating, you might say, like the old Sanskrit language, more so creating these relationships. And as life backs these ideas and words, etc., they become a reality of their own, and they are simply focused on the isness life is, and they have no reference realistically to the things in creation such as God, saviors, and whatever. And people try to incorporate that and spirit and all these things. No, it has nothing to do with it, because the isness is pure, clean, and real, and it is far too real. It will always be far too real. And this is where each person must decide, are they going to learn to be so indifferent to the ideas that they've looked to? I'm going to extend this a little bit. I'm going to give a little example here, okay, about ideas. And it's very simple and it's kind of fun. And that is, let's just take the word hope, or the idea of hope. It's just an idea. It's a word. It's an idea. That's all it is, like belief. And I talk about this in the book. Hope, belief, and faith. There's no such thing. These are ideas created out of nothing. And so it's kind of like this. Let's say that a parent hopes that their child will be good. We'll just use that idea. Okay. So really, what they're looking at is the idea of hope. And realistically, if the child is good or not, the child has free will. It has nothing to do with what the parent is looking at as the idea of hope. But then again, here's where we kind of fool ourselves, and that is that, or the parent can pray to God and say, "Please, God, I hope my child is good." So let's say the child all of a sudden is good. He's been a naughty child, and let's say he's 10 years old. He's been naughty, done funny things, and now all of a sudden he's good. So what does the parent reflect upon? That the idea of hope and praying to God worked. But then again, what if the child stays bad, okay, in the parent's eyes? Then what is the value of this hope and this praying and this belief in God or whatever? It doesn't matter. Just the idea, just of hope itself. See? So how many people recognize that? How many people recognize the ideas that they look to, thinking that those ideas in some way are going to make a difference, when realistically they don't? And so again, most of the world has a belief in something, don't they? See, they've been taught this. They've been taught this superstition, and it's just an idea. It's a created idea. It is not a reality. And the reptilians laugh at this, thinking that, oh, people believe in gods, and there are no gods. These are conquerors. And the idea of belief and hope and faith, it's a maybe, it's a nothing. And this is why politicians run on that. Look at Obama. He ran on change and hope, because they know that it's a fallacy. Because, see, they get people to psychologically look to ideas. So again, remember, everybody has free will. So when you hope that something is going to happen in your life, it's like, oh, gee, I hope this happens. You're looking to the idea of hope and not the reality of the situation. Because again, especially if you're dealing with others, hey, they have free will to decide whatever they want. So again, it's like, purchasing something, or you're getting that new car, and it's like, oh, I hope they deliver it today. Well, guess what? The dealer is going to decide when they deliver it. Even if they told you it's going to be delivered today, they may not deliver it. They may call you and say, oh, we can't do it till next week. You see, now all of a sudden, your hopes are gone, aren't they? In other words, it's just an idea. You want to live for that? Have fun. So, yes, Charles, what we're doing here is very real. This is what's so cool about it. And I don't ask people to believe it or accept it, but I suggest that just give it time, learn to, you might say, grow into the understanding of it, read the books. This is what I've done many times with Paul's works and whatever in the past. No longer that, because again, this stuff's all elementary and old wisdom. If you need that, go for it, but it's worthless. What's so cool about the is it is always now. Learn to recognize what it is. It's so cool. It really is, and it takes care of everything, but you got to learn to recognize it. So, again, backing up to the person and the people that, this is your task for Africa, and that is to get this understanding across that, it is a recognition. These people need to recognize what already is. So if life already is, that means it's already complete. And we just need to take the time to recognize what it already is, because it's not that it's coming or going or that we're growing or that we're unfolding or all these things are going to have enlightenment. We decide how far in, you might say, we go to this reality to recognize what's going on. And just like a person looking on the internet for something, how far will you research, that end of that literal self, to where eventually there is a recognition within your real awareness to understand what you're looking for. And then from that, there's even more that's unseen. Yes, go ahead, Charles.
Okay, there's another question that this a new friend has, just a beginner in the new works. And she wants to know how one can find out about their past lives. And also, she's perplexed why, what, or how people end up living a life of war and dissatisfaction. And then also wants to know if living in a restrictive environment hinder ones from, let me use the word, growing. So how can one move beyond these barriers to find their own path if living in such a restrictive environment?
Okay, so you got three big ones there, young man. So it's best to take them one at a time. You're making it kind of a toughie for me. So again, past lives. Realistically, it's all here now. There's no such thing as past lives, but you can stretch it out to create references of what you've been through, like looking through old newspapers. But realistically, it's always now. And we are the sum total of what we experience. That's very real. And so for myself, I was really never really interested in past lives, because people get caught up in the identity of these things and the identity of themselves as now. You see, so maybe they've been kings, queens, paupers, or whatever, salesmen or thieves and murderers, and we've all gone through all of it because we need to go through all the situations. Again, just like Chris through boot camp. Hey, they put him through every kind of situation to where, he almost dies. And that's really how it is. And the war, etc. Again, war is choice. It's very simple. It's choice. Talking about past lives, yes, I would say, look at that from time to time as a reference. But realistically, you only have so much time before you grow old and forget you were here again. And you really do, because anything can happen. So I would say take the time to learn to recognize the isness and put past lives kind of like on the back burner a little bit. And war, again, it's choice. And your own path or whatever, again, this is what people have been taught, the me thing. Oh, it's all about you. You're very special and you're this or that. And this is true. I say that to people too. I see certain people as special. The ones I say that to? The ones that are the risk takers that step up. Everybody is really special. They really are. They got to take the risk to see more. They got to step up and say, you know what, I'm just going to do this no matter what. And I'm just going to take the chance to see what's going on here. Heck, look at what I've put out there, what I've written and others have. Does it make sense compared to the world? You want to chase the Palladians and the star people or the bankers and make more money? Go for it. Or does it really end up and you'll be shown on the real side. And so again, when a person refers to those ideas like, oh, I want to find my own path or way, okay, well, have fun. The whole of life is for everyone. And the reality, it used to be the old idea God realization. Well, again, what does that mean? What do all these things mean? And so what I would refer to now is that, first of all, take the time to learn to see what the is, and that's huge. Good luck. Maybe you'll get it in this lifetime. Very few will. This is real. It is way too much, too real. And then learn to see how life sees itself and everything, more so than how you see your personal self and your personal path. Because again, these ideas, they really go nowhere. They're just illusions. They're ideas like hope, faith, and belief. It's about the same thing. It's about the personal self. And again, we're not negating the personal self. Not at all. The personal self actually becomes more enhanced and more workable, and it has its own understanding of things when you, the real individual, just like you driving a car. Would it make sense that you get in the car and the first thing you do is go crash into a wall? Okay, how many times are you going to do that? And the car, there was a series on TV, My Mother the Car. So what if the car could speak? It's like, hey, how many times are you going to crash me? The thing is, why don't we just drive down the road and see the sights and have fun? You see, so again, you, the real awareness, are operating these vehicles, and it's more so than just about the car, all right? There's a bigger view, and that is the whole of life itself. And when you kind of step back a little bit and see the bigger picture, it really does make sense.